All right, guys. So if you're like me and you are very, very interested in trading cards, but hey, you want to try and find some deals, you want to try and get stuff for below market prices, you want to try to, just spend a little bit less money on the cards that you enjoy collecting, trading, even if you're trying to profit a little bit, this can be a great way to get cards below market value and try to flip them and, make a little bit of money off this thing as well. Today, I'm going to be showing you the method that I've been using over the past 4 or 5 days. Again, I'm recording this on April 13th. You can see here that first card at the bottom, it was on April 8th. The strategy that I'm using to pick these cards up below market value consistently, and like I said, my intent is to try to flip these cards, make some money, make some profit, whatever, but you could do this for Pokemon, you could do this for sports cards, you could do it for anything, and you can do it, no matter what your price range or budget is, but also no matter what your goals are as well. So this is a very, very simple and easy strategy that I have been doing. I've been going on eBay. This is obviously involving just kind of sniping these eBay auctions, and I was honestly kind of shocked and fascinated about how easy it is, but I don't want to necessarily say that easy is the right word because it's not easy. It's very, very time consuming. You have to have a knowledge of the price ranges of the cards, what's good, what's going to be worth your time, what's not going to be worth your time, whatever. Obviously, you also have to have the money and capital allocated ready to go because if you do see a good deal, you have to be able to actually purchase it, and it is very, very time consuming because sometimes I'll go on for like an hour, and maybe find no deals. There were some days or some sessions where I would get on for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever, and not make any purchases. Sometimes I wouldn't find anything that even made sense to buy. Sometimes I would do a bunch of bids that ended up, getting outbid or whatever, but what you need to do is go on eBay and we're going to be searching up the auctions. Now, again, here, I was looking for mostly PSA slabs around a couple $100. So I typed in Pokemon PSA 10. I wanted to find PSA 10s, PSA 9s, PSA even 8s of very, very popular Pokemon that were in, like I said, that couple $100 price range. I was looking for Gengar, Charizard, Pikachu, really, really good Pokemon that I knew would also be liquid and move fast, because I'm buying them again with the intent of eventually trying to resell them, trying to vend them, trying to flip them at shows, trying to sell them on Facebook, maybe even trying to sell them back on eBay in some of these instances. So all I was doing was scrolling through and looking for anything that kind of caught my eye, looking for anything that potentially kind of matched the things that I was looking for. So here I'm going to refresh this. We just have this as auctions. We have this, sorted by time ending soonest plus bids, because there's going to be so many auctions that have terrible prices, have prices that don't make sense, whatever. So I think by filtering it with the ending soonest plus bids, you at least have something that somebody else has bid on, somebody else has deemed at least potentially worth the price range or whatever. And then once you're on here, you can potentially find some things that are very, very undervalued that people are missing out on, and there can be some very, very good deals. Again, I was looking for heavy hitting Pokemon. I was looking for cards that I like a lot. I was looking for stuff that just kind of made sense. And then once I found something interesting, for instance, I don't know if we'll be able to find something right off the bat, because like I said, this is very, very hard to do. You're not always going to be able to find something live, whatever. But for instance, let's go to, say, this Latias card here. This is a Latias, just a random card. Obviously, Latias is like a semi-popular Pokemon, maybe a popular enough Pokemon. This is also a PSA 10, so it should be pretty liquid, pretty easy to move. And then I'm going to open up another tab, and how I'm going to try and find out what the market rate of this is, and see if this is something that I could potentially be wanting to bid on, or something that I could potentially wanting to be putting a bid in on, or whatever. So I'm going to wait for my other tab to load. So this is going to be Latias number 220 in PSA 10. So that's all I'm going to type up into the search bar, and we're going to see what's going on. This is going to be a PSA 10 Latias 220, I believe was the number, and we are going to search that up, and then we're going to go from there to see what some of the most recent sales are, what the lowest listings are right now, and if this is something where the bids are potentially, or the auction is potentially much lower than what this could sell for, then it could be something we're going to be looking at. Now, I can see right here, there is a listing here for $65. Here's another thing for like 63, so it does seem like the market value of this card is overall right around $60. Now, again, this bid right now is for $50. So this probably isn't going to be within our price range because it just doesn't make enough sense. But again, the idea is there that you can find bids that are undervalued. You can find cards where the bidding is way, way down below. Now, why might that be? There is so many Pokemon cards getting auctioned off all the time. People can't have their focus on everything at the same time. There's definitely cards that fall through the cracks. There's bids that fall through the cracks. There's things that miss out on. You can also snipe bids on eBay by bidding at the last second. And what I really like most about this eBay function that they have is you can place your max bid, and your bid is going to go up like $1 or a couple bucks or whatever at a time. So even if you're willing willing to pay 100 and the bid is at 20, I want my max bid to be 100, and then it's going to bid 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So even if I'm willing to pay 100, sometimes you end up getting these for way, way, way cheaper. Now, again, this is a method that I've been using, and we can go through and look at what I've been able to pick up just in the last couple of days. So here's an example right here of this Gengar and Mimikyu team up card. Now, I love team up. I think it's a very, very cool set. Gengar, obviously one of those top tier Pokemon that I'm looking for. And you can see here, all out the door, we paid $321. Now, that is including shipping, including taxes and everything. I think I won the bid for like $305 or something like that. And again, we can go in and look at some of these Gengar recent sales, and this is a $350 card. Here's $357. Here's $309. So a little bit cheaper there. But then here's one that sold for like $383. So I think overall, this card is consistently like a $350 card. And again, I was able to pick it up for $321, everything included, taxes, shipping, all of that. So I got that for not the most insane deal in the world, but something like 90, 91%, something like that, which, like I said, it's not the best deal in the world, but for being able to get that from the comfort of my home, it's going to get shipped straight to my doorstep. That is a pretty decent deal. Now, again, if I was going to go try to sell this on eBay for like $350, I would probably not make money. I mean, again, we can do 350 times 0.87 because your eBay fees are going to be 13% minus, say, $5 for shipping. And yeah, we're going to be at $300. If I just tried to flip this thing back on eBay, I would be losing like $20. But what you could do is once I get this card, I could put it up on Facebook groups. I could put it up on Instagram. I could put it up on Facebook Marketplace. I could go to a show as a vendor and potentially try to sell this. I could go to a show and try to sell this to a vendor and try to get close enough to that market rate of $350 and say I'm able to sell it for $350 cash. All of a sudden, that is $30 profit on a $320 spent. There you're talking about 8, 9, 10% profit. That ends up not being too bad. Here's another one where I got this Squirtle illustration rare number 170 PSA 8. Again, PSA 8, not necessarily the best in the world, and maybe not what I would recommend, but it's Squirtle, so whatever. Recent list or like lowest listings right now, 105 seems to be about the price for this thing, just because you're not going to be able to sell it for more than the lowest listing. So 105, let's call it. And I picked this up for 97. Again, not a ton of room there. I actually valued this thing around 115 when I picked it up, so maybe prices have fallen a little bit. Maybe not the best example, but that was also only the second one that I ever did. I was still learning. I was still trying stuff out. Here we have this Mew from 2023, Scarlet and Violet, PSA 9. I think it's a cool card. Very, very pretty card. Definitely a card that I could see, doing pretty well in the long term, holding up its price pretty well. And obviously Mew is a very, very popular Pokemon. When we go to look at the lowest listings, you can see here we got a 140. This is like a 131. It looks like right there. We'll call it 130, something like that. And what was I able to pick this up for? I picked it up for 110. So again, there's another potentially $20 I could make if I listed this up for 130 on Facebook groups or Facebook Marketplace or Instagram or whatever. So that is just a couple of different options there. Now again, I was able to do a ton of these so far, and I'm going to continue doing this. It's a lot of fun. You get to see a bunch of different cards. You get to learn about a bunch of different cards. Now, again, am I saying that this is better than going to shows or going out, on Facebook Marketplace and sourcing cards that way or finding cards or whatever? No, but it is something that you can do from the comfort of your home, because sometimes it's midnight, sometimes it's 2 a.m., sometimes it's, 9 a.m. on a Wednesday, and, there might not be card shows to go to right that second. There might not be people awake on Facebook Marketplace. There might not be, the card show might not be open, or the card store might not be open or something like that just yet. There's also a ton of different ways you could optimize this. You could become an expert on certain cards or, certain markets or whatever, and you could really know the exact prices and be able to put in a ton of bids. You can, like I said, you can literally just put in bids for whatever prices you're comfortable paying, and then you're going to lose a lot of those auctions anyway. There's a ton of different options. Like I said, this fits great for all price ranges. I've been looking at the slab cards, but if you want to look at raw cards, if you want to look at, PSA 10s only, PSA 9s only, PSA 8s only, vintage only, a certain set only, if you want to try to do this for, other things like sealed product or sports cards or whatever, like you can use this strategy in so many different ways, and depending on what your expertise, your price range, your budget, and all that stuff is, some of these you're going to get some really, really, really insane deals for. Like some of these cards, I'm going to have a chance to make, like some of these cards I'm getting for as low as like 50-60%. Some of these cards I'm ending up getting for like 85-90%. And yeah, it's really fun. It's really crazy. And it is definitely, I think, a great way to be able to pick up all kinds of trading cards for below market value. It's really abusing the eBay auction auctions. Like I said, I was kind of surprised about how consistently a lot of these cards are selling under market. There'll be a card that sold for, 300, 300, 300, 300, like buy it nows, and then all of a sudden the auction, it sells for like 240 or something like that. And again, that is big opportunity there for you to try to make some money and try to do not necessarily a quick flip, because they still have to ship it to you, then you still have to sell it from there. But like I said, if you're just doing this every day, you could get to the point where, every single day you have a couple packages showing up to your house where you have a chance to, list them. And for some of these, if you do get them at a good enough price or a good enough deal, you literally could flip them back on eBay. You just have to be very mindful of the shipping, the fees, and all that stuff. But some of them, it is possible to get them at decent enough deals. So like I said, in the past 5 days or something like that, I've spent around $1,000 in cards, where I think I got at least a decent deal, sometimes an amazing deal, on all of these. And I think it's very possible. The strategy is still working right now, and I think it's always going to work. But there's just so many auctions, so many listings all the time. There's going to be inefficiencies in the market. There's going to be opportunities for you to take advantage of it. So I would recommend, hey, if you're, wanting to do some stuff from the comfort of your home, doing some stuff on your computer, wanting to continue sourcing, around the clock, maybe this is a strategy that you should try out. But I don't know. Pretty much it was the video today, guys. Hopefully catch you the next one. Until then, peace.